Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today I'm really excited because we're going to be putting our Monarch 612 lathe that we've just finished doing some restoration work to, getting it ready to use, and this will be the first job that I'm going to be using it on. And what we've got are the parts off of the capstan that goes on the tally-ho. The tally-ho, if you're not familiar, is a wooden sailing yacht that a gentleman from the UK is actually restoring up in the Pacific Northwest here in the US right now. And this is the original capstan that was on that sailing ship, over 100 years old. They sent it down to me to do some work to it. And we've got to do some machining to this main drum here, the barrel, the part that the chain and the ropes and stuff wrap around. They're going to mechanize this thing. They're going to actually, originally it was all hand powered, and it's still going to be hand powered, but they're going to have the option to be able to run it with a motor. And one of the things that we need to do is we need to install a gear down in the base of this thing so that we can do that. And it's going to require some machining to prepare it for that. So today's goal is I want to get this big drum down here mounted up over here on the Monarch lathe, and hopefully get that thing turned out on the inside for the gear that's going to be in there. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that as we get into the project. Let's see about getting this thing over here ready to mount onto the machine. Before I do anything else though, we're going to basically chuck this thing up on the backside here in a big 4-jaw chuck that I have on the lathe. The end down here that we're going to be machining has got a bronze bearing point in there that runs on a stem that goes up through the center of this, but we need to get a center in there that we can actually support that end on there. So I'm going to be going over to my smaller Monarch lathe, 16-inch lathe. We're going to be making a plug to go in there that we can put a center in. Once we do that, we're going to get this thing mounted up and start doing some machining. Let's get at it and get this job done. So this capstan is used on the ship for a couple of things. Number one, there's this gypsy area right here where it will basically, the chain for the anchor will connect in this, and this is just a winch that pulls it up. And you've also got this area up at the top where ropes and stuff like that, you could wrap it around that and turn this thing and be able to use it as a giant winch, basically. It sets on a base. Again, there's a stem that goes up through here. We got the bronze bearings in the top and the bottom that this thing rotates on. And originally up in the cap, there was a hand crank that you would turn that would rotate it. But what we're wanting to do is we're going to actually mount a big internal gear up in the base here. And from the bottom, there's going to be a stem that comes in with a motor that they can just motorize this thing. So they're not having to hand crank everything, and just kind of modernizing it, but leaving the original look and feel of it. So you still got the original capstan going. And what we got to do today is basically machine out this inside area. This is a rough casting right now. We want to have a machine surface that we can mount that gear into and get it mounted in place. So to do that, we need to get this over on the lathe. And again, I want to make a plug that kind of just fits up inside of this hole here. I'm going to have to get something different to measure this with because I can't get in there straight. Let me get a rough idea. That's about 2.5 inches. In fact, that's probably what it is. I'm going to go get a bore micrometer and we'll get a better measurement on that. All right, so this bore micrometer should fit in there. Let me get it. That should fit right there. It looks like it's right on 2.5 inches, just about. Let's see. So yeah, we're about 12 thousandths over 2.5 inches. So what is that? 2.512 is what we need to make that inside diameter. And I'm just going to turn this on the lathe. It's just going to be a plug that'll fit right up in there and be a little bit larger on the outside. We'll put a center in it. That will give us some support to support this end as we go over to the lathe. We're going to make this little centering plug out of this little block of steel here. We should have enough metal there to work with. So we're just going to turn this down to that diameter that will fit up in there, and then I'm going to flip it around and we'll put a center in the end. I got to machine some off of this other end just because of the way that it is. You'll see it when I turn around, but we'll go ahead and get the bottom side done first. All right, we'll come in here and face this bottom off first. All right, now we're going to come in here and start turning this down to that diameter. All right, I'm going to go right to my number here, 2.512. Right there. It should be the final size. Come in here and this should be a nice flat shoulder back there in the back. Put a chamfer on this bottom end. All right, I'm gonna go test fit that. We're gonna flip it around and work on the other side. All right, I got it flipped around now, and we're gonna, basically, I got this front area here where we had that hole that was drilled in this piece previously. I want to basically just machine this off on the front and get a nice place to work with. So we're just going to whittle that away. All right, I think we got that pretty well cleared off there. I think I will just very lightly turn the outside of this. Clean it up. And go ahead and put a chamfer on that side, and we'll go ahead and put our center in. I'm going to flip it around and kind of chamfer the back side of that. We're just going to put a center in here. This is what the live center will go in on the lathe over there to support this end. That should do it. So here we go. That's our finished centering plug. And all it's going to do is just fit up inside this hole here. And that gives me a center that we can support that in from. I think we're good to go. Let's see if we can get this thing lifted up and put over here on the lathe. Well, I got this thing part way up on here. We still got a little finagling to do. I will note that I've learned a few things about this little jib crane that I've got on this machine. And number one, it's extremely handy. But number two, it's extremely limiting because of the way it's designed. It needs to be longer. I need to have a trolley on it where I can move my winch in and out. The little hand crank winch that I had on here before, it crapped out on me in the middle of a lift a while ago. So I went and got my bigger, more heavy duty American made come along here, and it's working great. I will note too that I had a viewer that just kind of out of the blue was kind enough to send along an electric hoist for this. The problem is that I got with that is that it's designed to mount on a different type of setup up here. You can't just hang it from a point. So I'm going to have to make some modifications to that if I want to use it. But what I really want to do again is I want to redesign this whole gantry system, and or not gantry, but jib crane system, and have something that's a little more useful. But we're getting it done right now. we were able to get this thing up here, and there's no way I could have lifted this thing up. There's no way that 3 people could have lifted this thing up. So it's working in that regards. I do need to come down just a little bit here. And what I need to do is kind of get that center lined up on the end. And I think once we do that, we can kind of get it in here a little bit better. Move this thing in a little bit more. There we go. That will allow me to put some pressure going up into this thing, and let's see. That's about the maximum length. I need to pull this thing up some more. Before I get any farther in this, I can tell that this tracing attachment is going to be in the way. I can swing it around. It'll be in my way in a different place, but at least not be in the way of the work. So before I go any farther, before I get myself trapped in here where I can't get it out, I'm going to go ahead and swing this thing out where I can get in there and have a little bit more access. Let me do that real quick. All right, we got it pretty well positioned. I've still got some cribbing up underneath this just until I get everything completely tightened up on the chuck. It's not tightened up right now. It's just kind of loose in there. I need to get this strap out. In fact, I think that's what we're going to work on right now is I'll let the pressure off of this. I put this little clevis on here just to kind of help wrap that around where it'd stay on there a little bit better. And now what I need to do is get that out from in there. Let's see what I can do here. I haven't got the chuck tightened down yet, but I need to get, that strap kind of loose. There we go. We got it out from in there. I'm going to put the cribbing back up underneath there. We'll get the strap out from over here. I'll get that off in a minute. I just want to kind of get this in here first. All right, I need to tighten these up a little bit more now that I got that strap out. We're going to have to get this indicated in, but we can at least get it where it's not going to fall out. I'm going to have to loosen the tailstock up here to get the strap off. All right, I think we got it more or less mounted. I'm going to pull the cribbing out and we're going to start working on a couple of different things that need to be done here. So now comes the job of getting this end up here indicated in on the 4-jaw chuck. Now, one thing I'm just going to start off by saying, this is a cast surface. This is not a machined surface. So this is not going to be perfect, but we can get it a lot more perfect than what it is right now, which right now we're looking at, what's that, about 60 thousandths run out. So that's kind of my low end right there. Let's just say 0. And we're going to go 180 degrees to that. And we're about 25 thou out. And it needs to go in by that amount. So what I'm going to do is we're going to come back around over here. I'm going to loosen this one up just a little bit. And we'll go back around now. I zeroed that out. And what I want to do is I want to take about half of that. So, we're, what is that, 17 thousandths? I mean, again, this is not going to be perfect. I'm just going to eyeball it. We're going to move it in about half, that's half, give or take. Now let's see where we are on this one. I'm going to zero out My indicator there. I want to come around 180. We're about 50 thousandths out, so I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to loosen this one up. And again, I want to take about half of that out. Didn't quite get half of it. So let's zero that again. I'm going to just barely tighten that, loosen that up just a little bit. And we're going to tighten it back up a little bit over here. All right. You know what? I mean, we're within 5 thousandths on a rough casting. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get much better than that. So, and for what we're doing here, that's going to be plenty good enough. So I'm going to probably just go ahead and tighten it down right here, and we're going to just go with it. So next thing I need to do is I need to remove these dogs. These are some basically dogs that will lock down in the plate. As this winch is turning, you can flip this thing over one way or the other. They kind of ratchet and basically prevent the winch from running backwards. So if something gives up, you know, your can cranking or whatever, it's only going to ratchet one direction. So we're going to basically be machining this inside flange out to a uniform thickness, uniform diameter, and kind of flattening this bottom out. All this is going to be machined out. We'll be putting some new bolts or whatever back in here into the gear that's going to fit up into this base. This has got to come out. So there's a nut in here that's very rusted, and one on the other side, there's not even much left of it. It's pretty much all gone. I'm just going to take a zip wheel and kind of knock those out. Probably should have done this before I put it in the lathe, but we're going to go ahead and get it done real quick. I just got a zip wheel on an angle grinder, and here we go. Should knock out. There we go. See if we can knock that stud out of there. Well, not wanting to go. Those maybe possibly be threaded in there. I don't think they are. Pull the dog out, and I'm just looking at this. I don't see any threads on it. I may just leave those on there for right now. We'll worry about that later, getting those off. All right, I think we are ready to start working on this. So I've got basically a boring bar that I can reach up in here with on my compound, my slide. So that's going to basically allow me to work up inside that recess. And yeah, we're going to give it a shot. So what I need to do is basically turn this inside flange where it is a machined round surface all the way around that we can put a gear in. Right now it's just a rough cast surface, and we have these little bosses in here that the studs were in. Now, when we put the gear on there, we'll have plenty of metal to drill these, put these back into, so I'm not worried about that. There's also some little places where these studs come out here. I'm not too worried about those either, but we just need to get it trued up. Whatever size it ends up is what it's going to end up. I'm not shooting for anything in particular here. I just want to get a clean surface. So let's fire up the lathe. We're running about 145 RPMs right now, which I think is going to be my starting point. See, I want to make sure. Yeah, we're feeding in. I'll make sure my table was feeding in. So we're going to come here and I'm just going to start feeding the table toward me until we start making a cut right there. And I'm just going to make a light pass here to kind of start things on. I'm starting to
cut. We're just cutting off that boss. Sounds like just on one side right now is all we're hitting on. But this will give us a starting point. All right, I'm coming out. Kind of see what we did. Yeah, we're just kind of hitting over there in that back there, it looks like. All right, looks good so far. We're just getting started, so let's continue on. Making about a 40 thousandths cut here, so pass number 2. It's going to take a while to nibble those bosses down, but we'll get there. It's one of those projects where you just got to take your time and get to it. I'll come back when we start getting into more solid metal here and let you take a look. We're going to have to get those bosses cut out first. So let me give you guys an update of where we're at here. We've been turning those bosses out in there. We're just about got them out. In fact, we're starting to make a little skip contact in some places back there in the back. But I just going to show you where we're at. It's going pretty well. Or I'm going to probably, whenever I get this rough interrupted cut out, I'm going to change this insert just because it's taking a beating. It looks like it's in good shape, but I can't help but think it's been taking a beating because it's just been that interrupted cut every time this thing goes around. But anyway, we're going to continue on here. Let me put this back in gear. I'm still taking about 50 thousandths, 2, 3, 4, 50 thousandths of an inch per cut. And our feed rate is about 8 thousandths per revolution. And our speed is 145 RPMs, which has given us about the surface speed we need for cast iron. So we're right according to the book on where we need to be on our speed. Probably could feed our feed rate up, but with this interrupted cut, I really just don't want to push it. So anyway, a couple more passes and hopefully we'll be trued up in there, at least on the outside rim. Have to also work on getting that bottom in there flat as well, so that'll probably be the kind of the next step here. So making progress. Make another 50 thousandths. Should be getting really close here to making a cut all the way around. Still feels like we got a little interruption in there, but I don't think it's going to take much more. All right, we're getting real close. We still got some holidays in there, but we're pretty much making contact all the way around. I'm going to change this insert out and we're going to start making some finish passes, probably some lighter passes to finish this up. All right, guys, I have changed that insert out, making a pretty light pass through here just to kind of start things out. I don't know that we're going to get it cleaned up 100%. We'll make a call on that here in a minute. I need to see how much more material we would have to take out, but I don't want to take any more out than I absolutely have to keep that wall thickness just as thick as possible. So we're going to take a real good look at it after this pass and figure out where we're going to go from here. So we've still got some pockets down in here where the casting just hasn't cleaned up yet. Get an idea of how deep those are. Yeah, those gaps are still probably 100 thousandths deep. Our wall thickness is about 350 right now. I'm good-minded to tell you what, we're going to take another 25 out and just see where we're at. That's 1025 right there. Let's see where we're at after this. So far, the lathe has done really well. I've been really happy with how it's been performing. Got a nice big piece in here. We can turn bigger if we have to, but that's a pretty good sized chunk of cast iron to have up in this machine. Real happy with the Monarch lathe so far. Like I said, this is the first job we've done on it, but so far so good. I'm going to turn that lathe off for a minute where I can hear myself think. But again, you can tell there's still some voids in here. But I'm going to have to really take a good bit off that thickness of this outer rim if I continue on. And I don't know, I'm going to leave this set up for a while. I'm going to go ahead and work on getting the bottom flattened out for that gear to fit down into, and I'm going to talk to the engineers that we're working with on this project and decide whether we want to take any more off that diameter or not. I am personally just leaning toward we probably just need to leave it like it is and leave as much thickness in here as we can. I don't think having those couple of little light spots in there is going to hurt anything at all. So let's see if we can work on getting this bottom area flat as well, because we want that ring gear that's going to fit down in here to fit down and sit up tight against that. It's not going to be the whole thickness, so I'm not worried about getting it all the way to the center, but we do need to get at least some area in there flattened out. And I'm not sure, let's see what we can do here with this current boring bar, how far in we can go. That's going to be more than enough right there. Okay, so I'm going to get in here and start working on that bottom. Back out. We're going to do another 25 thousandths on the depth. And let her come back toward me. Just using the automatic feed and letting it feed toward me here. Well, I think we have our part finished turned here. Again, my main goal was just to get this thing cleaned up to a uniform diameter
and also get this bottom cleaned up so that we had a flat surface to go up against there. As you can see, with this being a rough casting, we didn't get it all the way machined down to here, but we didn't need to remove that metal. The ring gear that's going to go in here is only going to be about this thick or so. So we got plenty of good metal to seat up against. And yes, there are a few little holidays in here, some places where it skipped out and didn't quite clean up, but not a problem at all. I don't really want to remove any more metal than I absolutely have to on this. So I think we're just going to stop right there. So we got the bottom done. I got another step I need to come in here and clean up this inside area where the chain gypsy goes, and we're going to be making a new chain gypsy for this. That's going to be a separate video, though. I'm not going to do that in this video. We'll come back to that after we finish up this one. So I think that is going to be pretty much a wrap on this one for today. So overall, first impressions of using this lathe on a real job, I'm happy with it. Is it perfect? No. I've noticed a few little quirks with it, but nothing that can't be worked around, nothing that's not unusual in a piece of old machinery like this. So we can definitely get the job done on this, no problem. Like I said, we do need to come in here and do this inside part here before we're totally done. And I need to get some measurements over to the guys so they can start working on these parts that are going to go in this at a little bit later date. But we are making good progress, and glad to finally see this tally-ho project coming to fruition. Got some more work that we're going to be doing on this in various different parts and pieces over the next few weeks. So you'll be seeing more on it. So with that, guys, that's going to be a wrap. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. It really helps out with the algorithms on YouTube. And as always, big, huge thank you to the people who subscribe to my channel, as well as those who support financially through Patreon, PayPal, etc. It really enables me to be able to take the time to shoot videos, share with you guys what's going on in the shop, because it does take a lot of time to do the video production. Guys, with that, we're going to sign off. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, thanks for watching.